Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, welcome. And thank you so very much for joining us. I am Kim Serafini, the founder, creator, inventor, CEO, Wonder Woman of the world of positivity, the technology, a neuroscience-based technology called Positive Prime. I am joined here by my co-host, Mr. Benny Wallington, who is one seriously smart dude. Down under the surfing community might call him, or he might call others, frothers. If they hang out with him, that means that they're very effervescent, vibrant, super clever, creative, usually comedic individuals. And we have the great honor and privilege of sharing some time with you today, and also Susan Flerchinger. Susan is actually in the north of the west coast of United States of America. And she's a very special human being. So not only did she have a very successful corporate life, she has allowed the esoteric woo-woo side of her to really shine through. And she's in service of people like you and me now all day, every day. And so someone like me is blessed by having someone like Susan, and we're going to learn a little bit more about how and why, literally change the energy around us. So if you've ever been like in the flow and everything's going right and the ducks are all in order and you're all happily swimming along, highly likely you've got an energetically beautiful, benevolent thing going on. If you find that you're stuck and there are obstacles and there are just like nightmare human beings in your life and you've got all this irky stuff showing up, highly likely there is malevolent energy in your life. And all of us need to be cleared from that which no longer serves us going forward. And all of us need to invite and allow in terms of giving permission to anything that's going to encourage us, support us, assist us, and uplift us. So with that, let's go into the formal bio, the actual real introduction for Susan from Benny, and then I'm going to hand it over to Benny to start asking Susan questions. And if you've got questions, reach out to her and ask her to answer the questions that you have. So we encourage you to reach out to Susan after you've listened to this amazing little interview. Benny.
Thanks, Kim. Amazing introduction as usual. Effervescent, I'd say. I love that word. So I'll do the formal one. Susan Flerchinger is an intuitive energy healer and conscious transformational coach, vision master, angelic guide, author, and engineer whose unique gifts help clients find their brilliance, vision, and zest for life. Also love all of those words too. With a heartfelt desire to help others find better health and happiness, Susan found a way to effectively bridge her software engineering world with the intuitive. And since 2005, her holistic energy healing practice has continued to grow. She's the author of Thank You Angels, a children's book paving the path for kids to ask for angelic help. And she is a Positive Prime author with the session, Becoming Your Magnificent Self. And I'm just going to add one more thing in, because Susan sent it over and it was beautiful. Susan would love our listeners at Positive Prime and the world of positivity to know that each of us has an amazing divine purpose and potential that is longing to be actualized. However, we can all get stuck having limiting emotional and mental baggage, or are unable to get the clarity needed to allow us to move forward in those grand visions with greater impact. Susan passionately helps others break through these barriers, assist them in creating miracles and becoming their magnificent self. Awesome.
Woo!
We're very excited to have Susan.
Yeah. Thank goodness. Thank goodness there are people like Susan on this planet. Benny, take it away, because I just know you want to like go deep, go fast. Let's like excavate and uncover just the wisdom and see what guidance we can receive here and now.
Beautiful. I'd love to start with the intersection of engineering and angels. So if you want to tell us a little bit about your story and how that came to be.
Yes, well, I've definitely always been a science analytical head. Love that work. Love just really diving into a problem and figuring out solutions and making it work. The technical parts of it, absolutely love. But in 2001, my father passed away unexpectedly, very, very young, really quick. And just that was like a turning point for me in what am I supposed to be doing with my life? What is that greater purpose that I am intended for, and am I living that yet? And so over the next couple of years, just having put that out there, I was given a bunch of opportunities to roll into energetic world of energy healing. Now, having said that, I've always been a kind of believer in angels, believer in the divine, God, just the whole. We live for that purpose in life, is to be that divine essence. And so I just allowed that to kind of be more actively a part of my life, and just asking how, what do you want of me? How do I make that come through? And how do I be of service to people? And so that really is kind of how I live my life, literally every day, as a conduit. I'm just a conduit of that divineness. At least I try to do that best that I can. So I started taking those kind of energy related kind of learnings and courses, because that was all new to me. It's not something that I had visions when I was young. I didn't have any of that. So I kind of learned what I needed to learn, really, to receive more clearly information. And so I've developed that over the last 15-ish years. But when I got to all of these practices, you need to practice with people. And so I found out I was so busy practicing with people that it was another, 40-hour job or more. And I couldn't do 2 jobs at once. And so it's like, okay, which do I do? I love my engineering job, but this is my purpose. I'm supposed to be doing that. So I switched into that role and left my years on my 20-year anniversary. I left my job and said, it's time to do this. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing ever since.
Love it, love it, love it. So today you'll notice that I am wearing a new ring that has been fashioned for me by an amazing Italian jeweler. Her name is Anna Michelin. And in fact, she's based in Bali, and she just sent it to me. This is a piece of seraphinite, and these beads, these green beads, are seraphinite, which is actually seraphinite, right? So Susan and I really connected on a very intimate level. Show them.
Fluorite. I have crystals all around, amethyst in the corner there. Because they support this uplifting energy that is so wonderfully powerful, that all of these resources that we're given, we need to connect with them and utilize their purpose for us. So I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Kim.
No, absolutely. See, because I was really never into crystals. I didn't really believe until actually they started to work for me, or I started to work with them, right?
Yes.
And so it was very much this symbiotic reciprocity in process. Susan and I then talked about how it wasn't until somebody explained to me that I couldn't possibly have the surname Serafini and not be related to the only crystal on the planet that's so super rare, that's called Serafiniite, right? And so there had to be something in that. And it was really interesting because it almost gave me this allowing. I was no longer resisting or fighting this part of me that kind of knows things that I don't know how I know, is that tapped into my intuition. And I too, over the last 20 years, have done an enormous number of workshops and classes on energy healing and Reiki and, becoming a master and so forth. What is fascinating though, is that Susan and I are both very, very solid in the science. And one of the things I'd love you to comment on, Susan, is how it's not mutually exclusive. They're not at war with each other. You can be both and whole, very spiritual and very scientific. It's not an either or, it's an and.
I would say the reality of that is me. Because I am truly both, but I am absolutely 100% intuitive and gut-led, and always divinely asking for that support and information and listening. Now for me, I tend to just get that information just straight down, so I'm not, so it makes it easy to make that connection for me. But it is there's a brain piece to it too. There's a mind, there's a talking to the body. It's very physical as well as divine and angelic. And so I can't speak to anything other than it's the truth. It's the truth.
Tell me something. Does everybody have these gifts? Is everybody blessed with the ability to be an energy healer?
I'd say everyone is blessed with being intuitive. You know, you're born in the from a creator that gives us gifts, and we can tap into those gifts if we can have the faith and the desire to tap into it and that intuition. So can you do all of the pieces that they would say an energy healer does? With practice, I'm sure that everyone could. It's just a desire. What's easy, what flows well with you. You can take it to all different places, but everyone has the ability to receive information and be guided, definitely be guided by that divine source.
Benny?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the moment when your father passed and then you decided to start exploring. And it wasn't like you had some big flash of light like a lot of people talk about. They had this kind of like moment. You consciously went, I'm actually going to explore this for myself. I don't need to really wait for someone or something to come into my life to make me do it. And I feel like a lot of people might just out there who are interested in this have held back because they're waiting for some kind of divine intervention. So I'd love for you to speak to that about like finding that motivation and perhaps inspiring some of our listeners to explore that if they've been thinking about it.
For me, I remember the moment for me, and it was literally, I put out the question of what legacy do I want to live? And when you put out a question that has to do with your bigness, your boldness, your magnificence, the universe starts creating those experiences and that flow to start coming from you in some way. We just have to be aware enough to be looking for that insight that's coming through, those synchronicities. I don't call them coincidences anymore because they're truly not, they happen for a reason. and it's just being aware of that is, to me, the key is just you're choosing to listen, receive, and then choosing to take an action based on what's in your surrounding, what's in your awareness, what are you choosing to do that you maybe didn't do before, and what do you want to choose to do that's going to make me a better person, make the world a better person, allow my connections with people, my family, my kids, my husband, to be strong and loving and joyful. And it doesn't require a big, huge event to have happened to want to choose that. But you do have to you have to put it out there though. It might not just come naturally to have those things happen. You have to put it out there, like, I want this kind of life. I want to know what my purpose is, what my way is that I can be of best benefit to our world. So I think anyone can do it to me at any time, can put out, I want to be and do in a different way than I was a day ago.
What do we say for those of us who know we have a calling? We absolutely are relevant and necessary. We're making the world a better place. And then we're literally paralyzed by the fear of how giant or how gigantic the mission really is. And so then we shrink back and we go, yeah, no, I think I'm just going to live a normal average life. Like, I don't want that responsibility. I don't want to be accountable for, that kind of change making.
What I would say to that is, first of all, and this is part of something that I put in the Make It a Great Day book that from Jackie Simmons. It's, helping through suicide and just the whole difficulty of that is that the absolute knowingness that you matter just the way you are, and no one can make you, I think you used the word irrelevant, because everyone has a place in this world. We are all, part of a big puzzle. We all have a place and we all have a role to play. And if we don't play the piece that we are of making life just good and loving and amazing, someone else has to come in and try to fill in those pieces. So we're not all going to be here for the same thing. We're not all going to be changing the whole world for for billions of people. But we all are given the opportunity and the wherewithal, the desire to do that, should we choose to do that. And so to me, it's just tuning in and saying, you know what, I am good just the way I am. It doesn't matter, hard stuff happens to everybody. Stuff that makes you not feel good, makes you not, but I choose to say, I am not going to let that sway what I choose to do forward, because it is more important to me to make good in the world. So we just have to choose. We really have to choose that and know we all matter. We're all important. We're all loved. We're all just embraced in our life, whether or not good or bad stuff happen. Just know that, and then that's your starting point to say, okay, yeah, I'm good. I want to do this. I want to help here. I'm going to do it. I'm a driver and an action taker and a just get her done kind of a person. So I just really don't tolerate all of the gunk that we carry around. Of course, I've had just a fabulous life. I love my life, and so it does make it easier. But I have times that things go not so good, and then can I help myself get through that? If not, I call on someone to help me out, to say, okay, let's just let this go away. Let's release the judgment of it, forgive it, and move forward, because I got things to do. I got things to do to make life better. Not sure if that answered your question, but
yeah, definitely. Benny, are you as curious as I am? How do we cleanse or purify ourselves as vessels so that we can receive, and so that we become a lot more conscious and aware of the signs and the synchronicities and the serendipities?
I have good information for that.
Let's go.
I have kind of a morning routine, kind of a day routine, but a morning routine that I do to help this be clear, to me be a clearer, healthier channel. And it starts with kind of choosing that in the morning. Before I even get out of bed, I put a question out there. How can I have more fun today? How can I help whoever I'm supposed to serve today? How can I help them in the best possible way? So those are the kind of questions that I start my day with. And then I don't necessarily worry about how that shows up. I let it show up and be watching. So that's one piece. But the sort of the prep work that I do is, I allow myself to be in more of a centered, grounded space, where my head's not going all over the place. And I do that just with a little short mini meditations. And just literally putting my feet on the ground, breathing, and just asking, God, what do you want? What do you want from me today? And is there anything that I've done that, that I really should be forgiving, that I should, need to cleanse the space for? And I get that information. It's like, yep, it, you'll feel it. You'll feel kind of if there's something that's kind of in your space that doesn't feel good. And then I literally ask, Jesus, please take this away. I call on Archangel Michael. I have him pull he's got a golden net that I see, that I imagine stepping into, and he pulls out all this stuff from, that's grief, that's pain, that's hurt, that's suffering, that's stuff from other people's thoughts, just whatever. I consciously go in and pull that net through me each day. And it usually I do that at night. It's kind of the collection of the day. And I just allow myself to kind of have that drink of water, do my exercise, prep myself for the day, and just really prepare myself, which is where Positive Prime comes in for me as well. So I'm sure we'll talk about that in a moment. But it's just taking the time to it doesn't take, this is, you can do 5 minutes with some of these things, just to get yourself in that centered place to be your best. So I do have that routine that I do, that really anyone can choose what sets them up for the day, that just makes them feel like they're in a good go for it space.
Benny, what do you do?
When I'm being good, yeah, I got to get up and move. But I love what you said about before you get out of bed, and I love that you said, what's the most good I can do for the people I'm serving today? Like, that's such a beautiful, every time I have these conversations on this podcast, I'm obviously learning many things, but that's just so beautiful, because even this morning I've had two full days of work out on a farm, and my body's like buggered. So I'm just like, and that question could have been really helpful for me to bounce out of bed this morning. But
Yes.
when I'm on, it's usually getting out into nature. That's where I will ask my questions, and especially out in the ocean. I have a deep connection and deep through my lineage connection to the oceans. Lots of fishermen and people in the Navy, and travel obviously to get to this place over here on the island in Australia.
I'm a big traveler, so I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, there's a lot to be learnt. Yeah, and I think the better questions you can ask, the better answers you can receive, and also sort of alluding to that, making time for those quiet moments. And I'd be interested, what would you suggest to someone who can't find quiet moments? Maybe they've just got the kids, or they feel like they've got to just, as soon as they wake up, they've got to be on for whatever reason. How would you share some of your wisdom with those folks?
Yeah, because that's definitely, me at stages of my life, because I've got 3 kids, I've got a husband, we have all our work and things that we do, and so just having to work through that. To me, the key is, well, I didn't mention this earlier, but a gratitude practice is probably the most important somewhere in your day. But the beginning piece, which I just talked about, was that before you get out of bed, literally, again, for me, it's asking the question, but then I also do a couple of gratitudes right then for myself, for my family, just for us in what's going on in our day. Just grateful that, it was okay that we had the snow that I had to shovel today. I am grateful for my home and the love that we have in our home. And, stuff happens that you have to take care of, but in the end, I'm just grateful in my heart for what I have every moment. And so just getting in that peaceful place before you get out of bed, kind of putting a little more intention on your day, changes literally the whole rest of the day. And it takes moments to do that. And so it really is just learning to do it before you get out of bed, because otherwise the day takes over. It really does.
Oh, I love that you touched on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, you love gratitude.
I do love gratitude. I really do
everything.
love gratitude. And even though I wrote a best-selling book about it, and even though I've interviewed lots of people, famous people from The Secret and what all these other, thought leaders and gurus, on their gratitude practices and so forth, the reality is that even I forget, and I live as the queen of gratitude. So if I forget, I just kind of think it's bizarre. I've actually now practiced so much, I catch myself. So let's just say I was going to ask for something today, God, please give me the wisdom that I need to make the very best decisions that I can, that's in the best interest of everybody and their higher selves, right? So I'll hear myself do that, which is kind of natural, because I'm always asking the universe and God and, the quantum field for like gazillions of things. I catch myself and I go, oh, thank you for all of the wisdom that you've actually already given me, and for all the really great decisions that I've ever made that actually have been in my best interest for my higher self and so forth. So I actually now, instead of the asking, try to flip it, and that gets me then into the flow. So then it's like, oh, thank you for the great ideas that I'm having. Thank you for the awesome opportunities that are presenting themselves. Thank you for all the right people who are saying yes for the right reasons. Thank you for making sure that I show up before it's necessary. Thank you so much for the resources that are arriving before I even recognize that I need them. And then I'm on a flow, as you can hear.
Exactly.
I, like you, was out of the practice, but now am back in the practice of actually walking in nature for extended periods of time really early in the morning. So I start that conversation in the quantum field with my angels, my guides, the ascended masters. It's like 4:30 a.m. And then I get up and I make sure that I'm out walking in nature, or hiking as Americans call it. But through national parks, up, steep hills, by about 5-6 a.m. And if I don't do that and I'm traveling for work or whatever, I'm a little off kilter. I've noticed it really impacts me, and I've never been as aware of the consequences and implications of not doing that as I am now.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that. For, a lot of people don't want it. They don't want to get up at 4:30 in the morning to take the time. I'm not a 4:30 kind of person. I'm more like a 6:37 kind of person. And so, but for me, it is important to take that little bit of time before things get busy, and then fit in the things that you need to fit in, which is having some time for clear information, and being outside truly is one of the best places for that. Just speaking about the thank you, I have turned when I do my gratitudes, thank you for whatever that thing is. That's how I do my gratitudes now, just as you were saying, because that I can feel the gratefulness in that sentence for me, or in that thank you phrase. And so that truly does build me up without having to take any time at all. And then at the end of the day, I as I do my gratitudes for what's happened during the day, I look for the evidence of the things that happened from my morning question. And every day, really, I can feel the joy and the smile in what showed up. Not by me saying how it had to happen, the exactnesses of what showed up, but just seeing what presented itself for me in the people that I got to help, the people that showed up in my space, just the beauty of the life around us. I cannot go a day without having those things show up and just smile in gratitude for that. Just can't help it.
Hey, I just have to talk about evidence. I know a lot of us who are kind of in this realm are hypersensitive to seeing 333 or 1111 or 2222. I have been seeing an enormous number of 111s and 1111 and 11. What does that mean?
Well, whenever those kind of things, numbers like that show up, I always immediately say, thank you, angels, because it clearly is a sign of something, an answered prayer, something good that's coming. There's no exactness necessarily to what you're going to see. But I always give gratitude, because it is a way of getting my attention, for me to say, there's just something amazing that's happening right here. We're helping you out, take notice. And I always just can't help it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I might see, as soon as I see it, I just notice, and what's going on in that moment that happened, because it's usually something that I'm working on, something that I needed to receive a little bit of information for, that's just going to make this go, way more positively up and to the right.
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. I love your answer. It's a good one. I was in Los Angeles recently for work, and I get into a taxi and I notice that, the taxi number is 111. I'm like, I'm supposed to be here. Thanks very much for telling me. Yep. Right. Yesterday, I literally went to a store to buy some groceries, like some resources for a, fancy dinner. And the bill was $111. And I was like, oh, thank you so much for telling me that I'm still going to be able to afford my groceries, even if there is a major depression or recession or drama in the world, right? I am literally seeing it everywhere in so many different circumstances. And I think that a lot of us really struggle with feeling like we're guided, or we are protected by our angels. Susan, tell us a little bit about your book. Obviously, I love the fact that you're helping children to understand that they do have angelic guides, because I think that it's like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. We believe in these things as children, then we find out that they're not real, and then we actually blanket that it's all not real, right? And that's actually not fair. And so that's actually the shame of, this society or this conditioning where there is this, fantasy that is Santa Claus. And then you come to believe that all of your fantasies can't possibly be real, but actually all of your fantasies you can make real, right?
Right. And and to me, they are real. So if somebody tells you something that there's a piece in your gut, in your heart, that knows the truth, and you can choose to do something with that or not do something with that. Angels are one of those. So plenty of people are going to say, yep, I can't believe it because I've never had an experience that let me believe that was true. And so they may never choose to explore that, and then likely will not get the benefit of that beautiful angelic resource. So to me, if you're told that something's not real, but I know this is something that would benefit me and benefit who I am, allow yourself to pursue it. Just, you don't have to tell anybody. If the people that are around you are saying that's not real, that's not real, that's not real, too bad. You know what's real. You know what needs to help you and what can help you to be your best you. And for me, that is 100% angel help. And saints for me. There's a lot of saints that help me in amazing ways. So it's just, we have so many resources that are seen and unseen, that have been given to us in this life. And it's just a disservice not to pursue this amazingness, especially of angels.
I'm interested to know, Susan, actually maybe it's two questions. You've got your family as well, and all your practices. So I'm imagining this angel family. So you tell me a little bit more about that. And then I'm curious about how you use positive prime to help you kind of like, if there's a sort of nudging along or bringing that, bringing that future closer, to, without trying to force it, because that's not what we're trying to do, but just,
Right.
I'd love for you to just to speak to those things.
And just real quick, I noticed I didn't answer you, Kim, about my book. So just really quick, I am not a writer. I was never, that's just never anything in my purview. But I got a nudging one day that was, you need to help the kids. And I mean, I'm such a kid lover anyway. But you need to help with kids and what you do. And it's like, I don't even know what that would look like. And literally within 3 months, I got all of the insight that I need, the direction of how kids need help. And it really is the gratitude piece, which is the thank you piece, and the connection with angels to be able to say, you can get help in every part of your life. It's been conditioned out of many of us. So, when you're young, know that this is available as part of your life. And so I made it as a book that someone would read to a younger child, so that they could receive that, thank you for helping me be strong. Thank you for helping me, make friends. Thank you. It was kind of put in that form, real simple things that the kids would have to be working through. And then for a little bit older kids, I put a little thing in the bottom, when were you happy today? When did you help someone today? And so just to have that little more of an interaction with somebody else to say, oh, I did do this. Oh, I did do that. And so it's not like you can't do anything without the help of an angel, but those resources are there to help you be, maybe better than you might have been. And just notice where you're doing these qualities for yourself and for others, even at a young age. So that's it was just very guided for what I had to do, and it happened really fast when I wrote it, because it just that information and that message needed to be out there.
How do people get it?
It is on Amazon. So thank you, angels, and then my website. I have it on my website as well.
What is it called again? Just for our listeners, right? They've been lost in the conversation and distracted and away with the fairies or the angels, right? And so it's back to that practicality. Thank you, angels, into Amazon, or Susan's website, which is
SusanFlerchinger.com. I know, not a roll off your tongue name, but SusanFlerchinger.com. Okay, now sorry. Now back to Kim. I got so engrossed in answering that question. What was the next thing you wanted me to answer?
That was great. That was a segue, because I think how does that book that you wrote, was that in part for your own children and your own
because
family?
my kids were actually old. So my kids were in high school.
Okay.
And when I wrote that book, I started this new world of work when my kids were kind of middle school, high school, and so for me, which was again being such an analog head, is I literally have to consciously take my head off, put it forward, so I get out of my own way and then receive. So So part of the learning in the midst of my kids was that when they were older, and I've got fabulous kids, if I say so myself, but so it wasn't that they were teaching me necessarily that, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It just our family connection and our loving connection as a family, and just how we operate and believe and are together is what part of what allowed me to be able to do what I'm doing and working with kids and adults and all these different ways. And I'm 100% supported. My husband, my kids 100% support what I do, even though they don't necessarily get all of how I do, because it is wooey, it's different, but they 100% support and encourage me all the way. So that's not a barrier at all. And so for me, we just know that there's so many kids in this world that just don't have it as flowing and easy as we've created in our life, and they need resources to help them. And it's more about even helping the parents or the grandparents allow that experience to be able to happen for these kids, so that there's not these barriers from the world around them that stops them from being connected to their divineness, their intuitiveness. And I have used and asked for support from the angels to really get strong and clear in my intuitiveness, so that when I receive information, I have no doubt that it's true. When things are in my place, I have no doubt where that's coming from and what I have to do with them. And so that's just been practice, but it has made my intuition so wonderfully strong that I don't even have to think about it. When I receive information, it's like, okay, what do I do with this? How is that going to be supportive to myself, my family, the world around me? And then I just take action. I don't even think about it anymore. So that's part of how this whole process has been in me, in helping people and putting my stuff out there to help people so that they can be their best. It's creating me to be the best that I can be as well.
So tell us, Positive Prime. Mm-hmm. Why do you love it? How do you use it? What value do you see in it? Is it for kids as well? Like, just blah, go for it.
So it's just, I was exposed to Positive Prime about a year ago, and I didn't know anything about it. But as part of a process or a class that I was involved in, it's like, this is part of what you do. So it's every day, figure out how you're going to make that work. So we know with everything else, it can become a habit or not. But after just watching a set of them, and to start, I have to say, Kim, I was mostly watching yours, because those are the ones that really resonated with me. The I Am Grateful, Exquisite Flow, the couple of wellness ones, Fabulously Fit. So those are the ones I went to first, and I could feel very quickly, within a matter of doing this for a couple of days, I could feel a difference. And even though I do all these things that get myself really in a really positive, good state, that's just how I operate anyway, I could still tell a difference when I watched it and when I didn't watch it, for how the day would flow. And so for me, it really was, okay, I can feel the difference. So how early do I want to make sure that I start that in the day? And I would do it. It turns out I would do it after I would do my question in the morning. I would get up. I do need to get at least 15, 20 minutes of exercise in. That's just part of my getting to things to flow. I do a lot of my talking then too, it turns out. And then I will watch my first Positive Prime. And then, depending upon how the day is going, if there's something particular that I'm needing to deal with, I'll watch one or two more, depending on what that is. If it's, again, I watched one before having the interview, because it's not easy for me at all. I get so worked up and nervous. You guys are wonderful because you make it easy. But I had to do, stepping into your celebrity. I watched mine, becoming your magnificent self, because it puts in all of that. You've got this feeling. And so just depending on what's going on, I'll pick the next one that helped me to watch, because I don't have to think about it then. It just, I know it's doing the work. I know it's putting my brain and my body in the state that it needs to be in for me to do what I want to do most effectively. So I do use it very regularly. I know the days that it's like, oh my goodness, I can't even believe I didn't do my positive prime today. Things are kind of off and goofy. And so it's like, okay, yep, we all forget a day here or there, but I know if I want to get back where I want to be, I got to do it every day. And I want to do it every day.
Do you know what I love about that, Susan? Is that I think it starts with our own commitments to ourselves for us to be the brightest, most beautiful versions of ourselves, right? Yes. So when we are intrinsically motivated just to show up and be of service and shine, we naturally gravitate towards these tools, activities and exercises that help facilitate that with a whole heap more grace and ease. But it actually starts with us saying, hey, this is who I want to be.
Exactly.
Right? People say to me, you know, how can you be motivated to do this every day? It doesn't require motivation. I made the decision that I wanted to be me, this version of me, and I know that it's necessary because it enables that, right? And so
it's
I just
a choice
do
and
it.
a decision. Very active. Yeah.
And like you, I understand the science behind it, naturally, of course. No, but so I don't need to be convinced about how it works. I know it works. And because you've also done our certification program, you also know, so that's actually one of the ingredients in the secret recipe, the formula for exactly what's going on. How does it actually bring about that change so rapidly? And why is that enduring and so forth? You know, I was trying to explain to someone the other day, I often feel like my practice of viewing a personalized positive prime session is what I'm doing is I'm declaring in uploading all of the photographs, significant, meaningful events that have, you know, happened that I'm super grateful for, right? So it's my active gratitude journal visually. And I'm uploading all the photographs of my dreams, my hopes, my wishes, my what it is that I want to acquire, the experiences I want to have, and so forth. And I'm like the vacuum cleaner, and I'm plugged into the power socket. But unless I turn the vacuum cleaner on, I can't suck out of the quantum field all the stuff that I want, right? I feel like positive prime is the actual electricity bit with switch on. Like, unless I do that, I'm not given a clear connection to the quantum field. I'm the vacuum cleaner, but I'm not switched on, right?
Yeah. Or you're switched on, it's not really flowing where you want it to flow. This is just like pulled everything together really solidly and gets it moving in that pathway.
Yeah. And I think it is about those decisions and the consciousness and the choices and everything else like that, because you have to be mindful about what it is that you're actually uploading. And it's actually the activity of uploading all of these personal images that helps in the processes around getting clear about what you're really grateful for and what you really want.
Right.
Yeah.
In fact, Benny was asking about the kind of the intuitive part of that. And from the very beginning, I go through and I as soon as I hop on for the day, I don't have a preconceived idea of which one I'm going to watch, but I just intuitively I ask, you know, which category, which is the best one for me, you know, for the day or for the next, you know, 8 hours, and that's the one that's the one I watch, because I'm being told that this is the one that's going to get you in the state that you want to be in for how the day is going to be best for it to go. Right. So I do that. I can't help it, because that's just, I know that is going to switch those switches on that are where I am meant to be for the day. And you know how I'm going to help people, I need some of that stuff is going to help me be the best that I can for them.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Hey, everybody who's listening, for our audience, I have a little declaration. I feel like I need to be vulnerable and transparent. There are lots of people who are in my life connected to me, lots of people I work with, lots of people I'm exposed to. You know, being the founder of Positive Prime means I've met with, you know, great thought leaders, awesome influencers, etc., etc. And it's rare that I allow somebody into my private energy space. right? So I definitely have a public persona that I protect in terms of my personal energy field. And it's very precious, and maybe that's a message for all of you. Your personal energy field is extremely precious and valuable, and you should respect it and treat it as such. But I actually, not but yet, and Susan is actually one of the people I have allowed into my personal energy field, my actual space, in terms of really supporting me and assisting me in making sure that I can bring about the fruition of the visions that I have. And I would encourage anyone who's listening, if you want that energetic support, you actually want an honest, sincere, genuine cheerleader on your side who's going to help you to be, it's almost like at the highest vibrational frequency you can possibly be, then you do need either Susan or people like Susan in your life, or a group of people who have these very special gifts and talents. I've learned from lots of very powerful and influential people that none of them became outrageously accomplished with all the accolades that they do without these kinds of people in their lives who are their mentors and their energy healers and so forth, right? So I kind of wanted to put it out there because I think it's fair that I do. Susan creates space. She helps me to release any irky stuff from the past, even my past lives. And she's really making sure that I am, quite frankly, free to bring about the best and the biggest and the brightest. It's true, isn't it?
It is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all deserve you, Susan. So what's the last question you want to ask, Susan? I know there's 100, aren't there?
Yeah, there's plenty. I'll say that I also was watching your session before we jumped on, Susan, and Positive Prime platform has amazing imagery through it across many sessions, and yours has some particularly striking, beautiful imagery. So I just wanted to say, well designed. And yeah, I'll be checking it out again. Yeah, final question. So many places to go. I'd love to hear for someone who's looking. So the thing that piqued my interest was the question in bed before you get out of bed, and then the fact that you sit and you watch Positive Prime, and it's kind of made a little bit easier for you with Positive Prime because of the different topics that we have down there. So for instance, if you're helping someone with their wealth or something, you might be led that way. But as you know, you might actually just be led to happiness or something you didn't expect. So how can someone who's new to Positive Prime or trying it out, we really want next year, 2023 to be the year of positivity, where people do, like you said, they practice, for 30 days. And we know for the manifestation element, it's kind of like, you can do it straight away and it can happen. It's happened with me as well in the property I live on right now. But how can we get into that intuitive feeling and make sure that we are tapping in to Positive Prime in a way that's going to be the most help to us, but then also the most help to the people around us? Because that's exactly what we're talking about, is how do we set ourselves up so we can be of best service?
I think it starts with choosing to take care of yourself. You're choosing to be, regardless of what's happened, I am choosing to be this vessel that is going to be the best version of me. And what do I need to do to get there? So what are the tools that you want to put in place? You'll start to see what those are, feel what those are, ask what those are. And kind of just what Kim was saying, and in the way that I support people is, you had already chosen forever ago, I want to be the best version of me. Sometimes there's stuff that gets in the way that I can't seem to quite clear out myself and take care of, and get to that vision that I know that I have. And so it's choosing to say, I want to do something to, clean out my space, to make sure that I am the true, authentic me, because that is what's going to allow me to be out there in the world, having the most positive impact, flowing the most positive energy. And so it's starting with that choice and decision that I am going to take care of me to be the best that I can. Then when you go to whatever you need during the day. So some days it's like, man, something is just not right and things don't feel good. and I can't figure it out, do what you need to do. Ask for help. Use your own tools. Choose to breathe for a second and just drop into your heart. I mean, that's almost the simplest way. It's like, okay, I don't care whatever else is going on in my head. Just breathe. Let yourself almost put your thoughts into your heart and just listen for a minute. What do I need to be the best me today? Maybe it's just, okay, I need to have more water and I need to have more protein. Maybe I just need to go stand out on my grass for 10 minutes. I need to sit my face in the sun and just let it pour on me. They don't have to be life-changing, life-altering moments, but they are literally life-altering moments because you are choosing to take care of you and ask, how can I be the best me? So then if you kind of got yourself set up to listen and do those, take action, when that information comes through, more of that will just happen. You will just start to receive. The more you actively listen and take action, you will start to receive and tune in and connect to that intuition, because it's going to not tell you if you're going to ignore it all the time. It's not going to be very loud. It's not going to give you a lot of cues if you're not choosing to listen to it. So that's probably the first step. And then, like you said, go into positive prime. It is in categories. So if you're if you're not like me where you get sort of taken right there, then just kind of look through the categories, see which one lights up for you. And then one or two will, and then you say, okay, you pop into there and you look at the ones that are there, and you'll get drawn to one that pops out for you. Just listen to that and watch that one for the day, because there was a connection there that it's going to start supporting you.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself.
Oh, that was one of this lifetime's most difficult lessons for me. I mean, and I thought I'd learned it, and then I disregarded it and I didn't apply the lesson, and then I paid the price, and then I thought, oh gosh, I need to learn that lesson again. But I think that you're right. If you've created this incredible cement wall barrier around you, it's really hard for the information to get through, right? Mm-hmm. Or Faraday chamber. And I think that sometimes energetically we actually create these Faraday chambers around us because life has hurt us and all 1,000 other, stories. And so then we're actually closed off. It's not that the angels aren't giving you messages. Oh, they are. Right. They just can't get through to you, right? And so it's a bit like you have to dismantle your own Berlin Wall, right? You actually literally, you have to do that work. And a lot of it, I think, is about us feeling safe enough that we can do that. What I can encourage you to know is that it's worth it, right?
It's absolutely 100%
Susan,
worth it.
One of the things that I think you and I have actually been on the journey, and what has been revealed to us is that it is safe for us to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of us don't do it because we're not sure it's actually safe for us or the world is safe for us. But I think that what we can probably assure you is it is safe for you to do it.
And start with you. Start with yourself. You don't have to be worried about the whole rest of the world. Just start with you. And it's like you can be in a small little space and just, like I said, breathe into your heart and listen to what is the next step that would be useful, that's benefit you for feeling safer, feeling more happy, feeling connected. Just worry about that. Just start there, and then you'll have the space and the safety and the comfort and the happiness to step out to those next pieces, and then you can step out to the next pieces. But each day you've got to take care of you and listen and do what you need to do for you first.
Okay, perfect.
With lots of love and gentleness.
Benny, it's always a ride, isn't it? I love being able to speak to these extraordinary practitioners of positivity, these lovers of life, these co-pilots, these guides. We're blessed, aren't we?
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much, Susan. And
I'm honored.
I always learn from you as well, Kim, when we have these yarns. They're really good. Beautiful, reciprocal conversations that ripple out beyond just this recording. So I hope all the listeners also get some amazing insights and ideas. I hope it inspires them to really drop into their mornings, and to, especially in these times when we've got a lot of uncertainty in the world and a lot of negativity, that we do start our days with positivity. And if you can't find that glimpse yet, just ask yourself a beautiful question, like you said, Susan. Just start with a question and just allow yourself to go from there. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you, Vinny.
Thank you,
Kim.
you.
An honor to be sharing with you.